Wee 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 woo! What's up, my fellow fight fans? Today I'll be talking about the next fight night, UFC Saudi Arabia. Man, I have to tell you, I'm really excited for this fight night because I love it. I love when the UFC goes to these countries because you kind of know who the judges are favoring. You kind of know which fighters have the advantages in these fights. So let's start with Long Xiao or Xiao Long versus Lee Chang-ho. Okay, this road to the UFC final matchup is a very interesting prospect. So Xiao Long has looked pretty underwhelming at times, and when he lost his WCS fight against Quinones, but somehow this guy made the finals with two decision wins in the competition. So the guy who is fighting, Lee Chang-ho, he has looked more impressive so far. He's basically had won two of his fights on the way to the final, with two ground and pound victories. So, just based on pure eye test from what I've saw from the fights in the Road to UFC, I think Lee Chang-ho will win here because I think he actually has more potential and he's the more talented fighter. So yeah, that's Lee Chang-ho. That's for the first fight. And next fight we have Kyung-ho versus Muin Gafurov. Okay, can you believe that this guy Kyung-ho has been in the UFC since 2013? Can you believe that? He's actually a veteran in the UFC and he somewhat has been able to get enough wins to be able to stay in the promotion. Well, he's not really exceptional, but he's actually a decent fighter and he has lasted this long in the promotion, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. So his opponent is Muin Gafurov. Um, this guy, I'm not too sure about this guy. He had a disappointing start in the UFC. Like he lost to Zaid Nurmagomedov like easily because of guillotine choke. He just literally tried to take him down and just get guillotine in like easily in the first round. And he lost to John Castaneda, who is a mediocre fighter. So and he lost to Chad and Hellinger in his DWAC fight. So uh I don't know, if this event was held anywhere else, I would definitely pick Kang Kyung-ho for sure. For sure. But to be honest, this is one of the hardest fight to pick for me because you never know with these judges, right? Uh I think I'm going to go with Kang Kyung-ho here. I just think he's the better fighter overall. He's a UFC veteran. It does concern me that he tends to go for his fights tends to end in a decision, so you never know when it comes to these judges. But I just think he's a better fighter, and I think he would be significantly better than Gafurov. So I'm picking Kang Kyung Ho here to win by decision. So next fight we have Nasrat Haqparast versus Jared Gordon. Okay, this is, I think, another close fight. Nasrat Haqparast is a very talented striker. He's known for his boxing and he has a good fighting style. So he basically used to knock out jobbers for fun, the regionals, but it seems that his power level does not translate in the UFC. I would say Jared Gordon is pretty good. He's a well-rounded fighter, and he has a pretty good grappling. So it depends on where the fight's gonna go. I think this is going to be a very close fight. Again, when it comes to a decision, right? Who's the judge is gonna go with? I think this is a close fight, and I think Nasrat Haqparast will take this fight. Next, we have Rinat Factory. How do you spell this guy's name? How do you pronounce this guy's name? Fakhretdinov versus Nicolas Dalby. Okay, Rinat is a powerful wrestler. He has a good, solid background in combat sambo, and he has a good wrestling and ground control. He's like one of those good Russian wrestlers out there. And he's facing Dalby, who's like the Brazilian killer, but he's not facing a Brazilian this time. So this guy Dalby, right? He has a good cardio and he has a good energy. He could go for like 5 rounds, no problem. But I don't know about his grappling, right? He's good when he's fighting against strikers, but he could be taken down. So okay, I think that Rinat's gonna win. I just think that Dalby is good, but I just think he's just old. What I mean, he's just not in his prime anymore, and he's going. I think he's going to have difficult defending that takedown. So I'm gonna go with Rinat here. Okay, next fight. All right, the next fight we got Magomed. How do you pronounce this guy's name? Gadzhiyasulov versus Brendson Ribeiro. Okay, Magomed is basically the biggest favorite in this card, and yeah, okay, he's not very experienced, but I think he's gonna win here. He has good grappling background and he has a solid striking game, and yeah, I don't know about Branson Ribeiro. He lost to Chang Yang like in the first round, like easily. Uh, it's crazy that a debutant like this guy Magomed's gonna be like this heavy of a favorite, but you just have to go with him. I just think that he's the better fighter, but I think the line should be closer than it is. But Magomed it is. All right. The next fight we get Sharabutdin Magomedov versus Joilton Lutterbach. Okay, I understand. Sharabutdin is basically an asshole. He harassed and sucker punched that couple in a video that went viral. Basically, but this one-eyed demon is basically still a fighter from Dagestan. You know, he he's still a, I think he's still a decent fighter, and his original opponent, Potiera, basically pulled out. So they're just giving him this jobber. Like this, basically, I think a squash match. And Sharabutdin should basically get the win here. You know what? He looks like a James Bond villain. So I think the UFC wants this guy to win and basically promote this guy. So yeah, I think Sharabutdin's gonna win and quite easily. I think by knockout probably could be in the first round. All right, so we get the next fight: Kevin Gastelum for against Daniel Rodriguez. So Kevin Gastelum, this guy, right? He was a promising fighter once upon a time. Once upon a time, he was a contender and he had a close fight against Israel Adesanya. But since that championship fight, he's just fallen off. I don't know about this guy, man. Uh, I had a very good friend who always like to bet on this guy, and I always bet against this guy, and I always lose. For some reason, I never had a good s- record with him. But I think I'm gonna pick him here. Daniel Rodriguez is a decent he's a decent underdog. He's a good veteran. But I think this is the bounce back fight for Kelvin Gastelum. I think somewhere deep down, Kelvin Gastelum still had the talent, and if he just I believe he's moving down to welterweight, so uh he might excel in his weight class. So I'm going to go with Kelvin Gastelum here. I think this is the fight that basically gets his career back on track. Next up, we have light heavyweight Johnny Walker versus Volkan Ozdemir. Okay, we know Johnny Walker is a bit of a meme at this point. He's been knocked out in like hilarious fashion every time, But he's still athletic. Okay, he still has the knockout power, and he still has the striking ability. Okay, Volkan himself is a good, solid fighter. All right, and he has this basically good striker himself, and he has good power. Okay, so I think this is gonna be a close fight. This is probably one of the hardest fight for me to predict in this card. I think I have to go with Johnny Walker here. You know, I think he's just more talented, and I think this is the bounce back fight for him. I think he'll beat Falcon in a very close fight. So all right, for the co-main event, we have Sergei Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. Okay, Sergei Pavlovich was like the most feared heavyweight, like until his loss to Tom Aspinall. Basically, that kind of killed his mystique a bit, you know. Uh, Pavlovich, man, this guy's dangerous. He has that knockout power that basically they can knock out everyone in his first round, and he has a very underrated grappling background as well. Actually, his background, mixed martial arts background, was in wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, I believe. So I think his takedown defense is pretty good, and he's facing like Alexander Volkov. I think they used to train together, and they didn't really want this to fight, but the UFC kind of forced them. Uh, so what I'm worried is, I'm worried one of this fighter is a little soft and will take. It's not ruthless enough to knock out their sparring partner, basically. But I just think that Sergei Pavlovich is more talented than Volkov. He's more dangerous. He basically has that knockout power. And if Volkov stand with him, I believe that Pavlovich is gonna find knockout. So I'm going to go with Sergei Pavlovich here, and I think he'll get knockout in the first round.
Okay, there are many changes in this card, so I have to go through some of them. First one is Sedrique Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. Initially, it was Denis Tiuliulin against Captain Morocco, I would say there, but it's been changed to Sedrique Dumas. Still, like, how are these two fighters in the UFC? Come on. Sedrique Dumas belongs in a jail cell. He should be in a jail instead of a cage. This guy's been arrested so many times that I don't even know why UFC doesn't cut him. Is he worth the problem, the troubles, the bad reputation that he gives? I actually enjoyed seeing Nusultan Ruziboyev knocking him out. His opponent is Denis Tiuliulin, the UFC's resident jobber. He's either been knocked out or submitted. I think he had 100% finish rate. So I can't believe but I think I'm gonna pick the low life over the jobber. You know what I mean? I think Dumas has some semblance of ability to be able to fight at this level compared to Denis Tiuliulin. Come on, even the Saudis is a better than this for the amount that they're paying the UFC. All right, and finally we have the main event: Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. I'm kind of sad that I don't get to see Kamzat fight. He's actually one of my favorite fighters. I think he has an exciting fighting style, and I think he has the potential to be a champ. But unfortunately, he has to pull out because of his health. So I was going to pick Kamzat to win over Whittaker, but when it comes to Ikram, I think he does have the talent. I think he does have the talent to be a good UFC fighter, but I think this jump is just too early for him. Uh, Robert Whittaker is like a top five fighter in his division, and he only loses to the elites of the middleweight division. So Ikram might be from Dagestan. He might have a good background in combat sambo and wrestling, like the other Dagestanis. But I just think I just think it's too early for Ikram to fight someone like Robert Whittaker. So I think Robert Whittaker is gonna win here. Could be by decision, but I just think he will dominate the fight. So I don't even think he has to worry about getting screwed by the judges. So yeah, Robert Whittaker is my pick. All right, click like and subscribe, guys, and goodbye.